and a lot of people have sort of explained KC is a team that's a lot more slow-moving, a lot more teamfight focused. We have one of those teams in the LCK. Gen G have generally done a very similar situation. Yes, T1 were able to get over that line. Play? They don't. Oh. You'll have to wait until a tournament that's happening after this one. However, that was a really close series between T1 and them. This could be a similar situation, at least we could hope. And there are big grins, especially on the face of Reapit there, who was very, very excited to get this one going. Marta is all business, though, as you can see. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this draft is going to look like. And we're lucky because we're right in there. The Rumble, the Vi, and the Jarvan all taken away here. Is Yike getting a lot of focus here. His Vi being banned away, very, very cool stuff. The Lee Sin and the Bard feeling obligatory. And the Varus still going to get banned away as they pick away the Orianna. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, Keria is just not allowed to play Bard.
Nope.
This champion for that player is just way too ridiculous.
Lord.
It is the #1 ban against T1 by a lot.
Yes.
75% of their games is banned. Next most common is only 40% for the Orianna. Jayce as well as the Nocturne. This is going to be playing through side lanes here. But when you do showcase this early, I always like the option, for KC to kind of like pre-counter what they're doing. If you want to go in towards a Zyricon, if you want to look for those types of answers, if you want to have globals of your own to answer, that can work as well. But instead they're going to the Ashe, which obviously does help a lot, as far as the laning phase. Ashe Seraphine, very powerful. And you do have the ability to track the enemy jungler, which is big when Yike is playing as well as he is. But that being said, I do always worry when you have now drafted 2 low mobility carries against Nocturne and what we can assume is going to be additional dive.
Yeah, I do like having so much augmentation for a potential carry from the top lane or the jungle, though. We've seen Ashe, Seraphine, Orianna be extremely strong when something like a Xin Zhao is put in the jungle, like really being able to utilize those more bruiser-type junglers as the Mel is going to be locked in. This is something that Peyz is very good at. I believe it was only a few weeks ago where he ended the mid-game at 8-0, and the rest of his teammates didn't get any kills. It was just all Peyz. And then they won the game. And that wasn't too bad.
Some of the really strong pairings are going to be bannable, right? Because when I think of Mel, I think of the Camille combo. That is obviously really, really strong. You can ban out Camille, take that away.
Mel Pyke, another big one.
Pyke, another big one. Those are the two that are really kind of aggressive.
And Keria is known for not having much of a champion pool, so I'm sure after that he's got nothing.
2 bans, he's out.
We'll have to see what he is going to pull out. He did try to play the Jax, was hovering that one, didn't decide to go there, so we'll see. The Shen, another option alongside the Mel that he could make work. But the Wukong going to be taken away from Yike. I think that's a good one. I think Xin Zhao still needs a look. But KC now with a couple of options. Is the Camille going to be taken away? Maybe it is just Camille Pyke, and you force them to go with something at least a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I do think it makes a lot of sense to me. Those are just very, very dangerous pairings. Pairings that can set up so easily for the Mel. Because if you have some ability to kind of get that hit confirmed for the Mel, to set up these fights aggressively, Mel can easily burst you down, right? And Camille, as well as the Pyke, also really assist in getting you low enough to get the execute either with the Pyke ult or getting you low enough for that Mel ultimate to come through and get that execute. So I do expect the Pyke to get banned out. Unless they just think, hey, like Pyke, Nautilus, whatever, it's all the same. But I do tend to feel like Pyke is pretty dangerous in this duo.
Yeah, I do feel like Nautilus is more the Ziggs one, and I feel like Pyke is the Mel option. But we'll see where they do decide to go, as the Nautilus is going to be the decision. So they take that one out of the way. And now Peyz, I mean, he can lock the Pyke right now if they would like to, save Faker's pick until last, unless he wants to play Jayce mid, which I highly doubt. It's looking somewhat flimsy on the T1 side of things. It is going to be the Pyke. Speaking of flimsy, man, like, you can try to build health, you're still going to not have any health.
Yeah, I mean, it is really interesting because there's kind of always 2 ways, I feel like, at looking at these full damage comps is you're like, wow, there's a lot of squishy members, they could all die. But the other side of it is that everyone on T1 is going to do so much damage that even if you go tanky, you kind of just die too, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many threats. It is very, very dangerous. Games like this become so much about the initial engage, about positioning, about how the opening moments of a fight are going to go, because people will just flop. And Sion, is going to be there to try to survive the onslaught here, to try to soak up that damage, create that space. KC very clearly are drafting for front-to-back team fight.
Yep.
It's going to be all about this, trying to protect your Orianna as well as your Ashe, utilize the counter-engage of the Seraphine, of the Sion, to try to create that space and keep them alive. And that is what you are kind of hoping for. Don't believe their lies.
Yeah, Busio always does it to me. The Naafiri is going to come through, though. This is something that can certainly work alongside the Orianna and the Ashe, as Keria is not going to be locking that one in.
He's not allowed.
Locking, get it. The Akali for Faker, though, this is something that he's found a lot of success on, especially this season. This is one of the picks that he's still just incredible at making work, even though his laning phase this season hasn't necessarily been the best one that he's had throughout his career, which is a pretty high bar, let's be honest. But I'm really liking how incredibly diverse both of these comps are, right? You can see exactly what they want to do. KC, slow-moving juggernaut style of composition, very front to back. T1, absolute chaos. Let's pull you apart. Let's get better positioning, go for the flank angles, and make it happen from there. But honestly, if KC get even a little bit ahead, it's going to be hard for T1 to make their way back into the game.
It really is, but they do have a lot of ability to make individual plays, to split up fights, to kind of win on different sides, right?
There's a bit of poke there as well with the Jayce.
Absolutely, Jayce plus Mel, right? You know, so they can play for the poke, someone gets low, all of a sudden you are at risk of getting burst down by Pyke, by Mel, by, you know, all of these champions that can fly in. And it's always so much harder of a job to actually mark the flanks when you have Nocturne on the team, because Nocturne turns out the lights, then all of a sudden Akali is coming from one angle, Pyke is coming from another angle. It's very difficult to actually track where everyone is and stay safe. So I'm a little bit worried for the KC carries. Of course, you know, as you get later on into the game, Orianna, against a comp like this, you can go pretty defensive if you want. You know, we do sometimes see people opt into Roa, get a later Zhonya's, then that's pretty tough. But Ashe and Seraphine, if you are mispositioned, there's no items that you can build that are going to save you. Like, you are just going to be food for the T1 carries.
And it's going to be a bit of a difficulty. Let's have a look here, though, as Keria. Oh, man, the matchy-matchiness of these skins as well. Absolutely loving it. As KC set up already. Some vision already laid down towards that bottom side. As Yike and kyeahoo getting themselves into position. Fun fact, kyeahoo has yet to beat Faker. Did play for DRX, obviously, in the LCK, so did have an opportunity to do so. But currently 0-6 as far as games. And Faker is feeling pretty confident in this matchup.
Absolutely should be. I mean, this is the matchup that we actually saw Quid pick into Faker, so he's playing both sides of it now. This is a matchup that a lot of Akali players really do like, and the question, you know, is kind of like, can you find the angles to make the big plays? Because otherwise, Orianna generally just slowly builds a lead. She's auto-attacking you down in lane, slowly kind of whittling you out, and can create a pretty big CS advantage. So you have to be willing and able to go for those aggressive plays.
Well, Peyz already taking a fair bit of damage here, as we can see, down to about 250. Does get a little bit back in response, but it's not necessarily working out. Ladies and gentlemen, Vendetta is Riftbound's next set. It's arriving July 31, and it brings together new champs, iconic rivalries, and beautiful art from across Runeterra. Whether you want to collect or play Vendetta, has something for you.
And a lot of the casters have been saving their pennies.
I was going to say, my pennies have also been attempted to be saved when I'm not buying baby things. Not going to lie. As Faker down to about 100 here, as kyeahoo is doing what it says on the tin. I am range champion prior to level 6 against Akali.
Faker, though, just popping his pot now, but he is getting very low. kyeahoo is doing a great job here, and it's kind of a battle for Akali against the mana of Orianna. Great hook, though.
Oh, yeah, Busio are going to come on through there as Keria does get himself out of the way. It looks like Busio and Caliste feeling pretty good about this matchup for now, though, as Yike bounces on top of Oner. That's a great spell shield to deny a lot of that. But Yike now gets control, and with KC controlling the bottom side, this is dangerous, but Keria is making his way over the Dustbringer, doing a little bit of work there, as there is the Bone Skewer to connect from Keria. This red buff getting involved, and Oner just smites it away. So, thanks for all of your time, KC.
Yeah, because meanwhile, bot lane, Peyz never even moved, and now Keria looking.
Yeah, looking for another angle. Is Busio going to have to flash? Peyz now going to be moving as he looks to try and get some damage down. Busio going to live through the ignite, though, and now Keria needs to get himself out of the way. Some defense here from Oner, but he gets into the fog of war. Gets that help back. The flash Bone Skewer as Caliste now has to flash away, and Oner's made his way in. That's first blood for the Nocturne, and Peyz even manages to get the execute before going down. Yike will fall as well. It's a 2-for-1 for T1.
That final auto there from Peyz takes out the dog. Yike falls. Caliste goes down. Caliste was unable, or maybe didn't think he needed to flash the initial hook there from Keria, and that goes so bad for KC. Off of this invade, they put a lot of time into this. Look at the CS between Oner and Yike right now, 23-11.
Yeah.
You used that bot lane prio to try to play for this invade. They never were able to actually push back the KC members, but it didn't matter because Oner steals it away. He smites it out. Busio is forced to flash here early, and then when the hook comes back up a little bit later, it all came down to this flash hook here from Keria. Caliste needed to actually flash this. I do believe he had time to react, but he flashes late, and then at that point, Oner is just going to flash follow. You're never going to get out of there alive, and then the last auto attack from Peyz does kill off Yike. Doesn't survive, though, as the Naafiri bleed is going to take him down.
Yep. So really nicely played here from T1. At least able to get one back, though, is KC. 1,000 gold going to be the advantage. The problem is, this is exactly the type of game that T1 want to be playing, right? Chaotic, fast and loose, winning the trades, getting the advantages, and that is precisely what's happening here in this battle of former and current T1 top laners. It is the Jayce doing a good job. Busio, great sidestep there, but he's still very, very dead. That's going to be the auto to come through from Peyz. Execution! And oh dear, bad just met worse.
Yeah, that is really, really tough. Great sidestep from Busio, but with no sums and a long lane, where are you going to go, buddy? There's no way out from that position, and that is the danger, you know, of picking these type of champions into some of the playmakers available there. We saw Keria going crazy on the Camille at times, and now, you know, off to a great start here in that bot lane. Peyz is just getting so strong, and we have seen it so many times. When Mels get really, really fed, all of a sudden, all it takes, QER, and you are basically just gone.
Well, Keria looked for the angle there. Another bone skewer is going to connect, and Caliste is extraordinarily dead. Nothing the Ashe could do. Tried to take Keria with him, but didn't have the damage, and T1 go to 4-1 now. This game is very swiftly falling apart.
Oh, yeah. It is a 2K lead at 5 minutes. So you can say that again. That is a crazy...
This game is swiftly falling apart.
Thank you, Max.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Crazy advantage there for T1 over KC at this point. And I talked about it in draft. When you are going a low mobility style of champion against a comp like this, if you get behind, you are going to get one shot. It is so hard to actually play the game. And Ashe and Seraphine are looking like they're going to be paper. This is the kind of game that KC really needs to try to slow down the pace. They have a lot of scaling.
Oh, another bone skewer connects there. Even the route to connect onto Caliste as Busio's just dead. Peyz gets the execution one more time. The daggers aren't going to quite land, as the second one does at least. The dragon might be considered, but I imagine T1 probably just want to keep killing them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good objective as well. Just
not bad.
Racking up the gold here, as now it's nearly a 3,000 gold lead here at 6 minutes. They're going to be taking the dragon as well. Even Faker in the isolated 1v1 in mid in this melee versus range, he's up a couple CS.
Yeah, he's actually doing fine.
A slight gold lead.
Oh, another bone skewer to come through here as at least Yike is able to secure his Grump. Congratulations. That does, something. Yeah, that is something. I've got the silver lining.
Okay.
All right, this is a very dark cloud.
Might be more of an iron lining in this one.
Yeah, but Keria had probably the best Pyke game I have ever seen this season. They did not win. So maybe there's something there. Ulti to come through as Caliste is going to survive for the moment. Ignite ticking down, but will not kill. So the Ashe is going to live. Whether that means very much for stuff getting better for KC, jury is still out.
At least it didn't get worse. So there is definitely that.
Well, he's not in lane. It got a bit worse.
At least it didn't get as
worse as it could.
Yeah. At least it could have been worse.
Yeah, there we go.
So it wasn't the worst possible thing to happen. But now Busio, unfortunately, he is probably going to get dove here.
Well, there's a fight going on elsewhere as well as Yike looking for Faker. He goes into the Shroud, though, and just ults away. That is going to be Peyz on a killing spree. Keria surviving as well as the successful 2v1 dive in the bottom lane.
No sums needed there. None available for T1, but they were so confident they could actually make that dive happen. Beautifully set up again by Keria. As soon as he hits the undertow, as soon as you hit any sort of CC, the Solar Snare is guaranteed. That damage is going to come through, and they are bursting you down. And you know, even in the isolated 1v1 on the top side, obviously you are expecting to be down a bit as the Sion, but you are not expecting to be down this much. 20 CS, he's already taken 2 plates as well. Doran doing great in the laning phase, and did honestly have a pretty tough outing yesterday in the laning phase against Morgan, where he had been solo killed a number of times, but looking to be in really good form thus far in Game 1 versus Canna.
And it's actually kind of cute, right? Goes from playing against Morgan to playing against Canna. It is kind of just like a reunion in the top lane as far as the T1 matchups are concerned. As Oner going to take one of the grubs. Paranoia comes through pretty defensively here as the fear is not quite going to work out too much. But now Doran just dives in, goes actually to the skies into the middle of 3 people, and then wanders away.
Ooh.
The arrow is going to sail by, and T1 Now realizing that they can go back, looking for the 2-for-1 grubs trade, and Yike has to get out of there. Peyz looking for Caliste as well, who's just not allowed to lane if it's a 1v1. And so there we go. T1 locked down all 3 of the grubs in the end to move to a 3.5k gold advantage.
Yeah, that is really nice for T1. When you already have all these winning lanes, when you already have the push across the map here, being able to get those grubs, just going to help to accelerate the game that much more. Look at Busio on the top side. It's kind of desperation hours. He is sitting behind to see if Doran would overextend and they could look for a surprise play with this Seraphine. But Seraphine's not even level 6, so it's not really that dangerous whatsoever. And Caliste is down here on that bot side, but it's always pretty scary walking in, and T1 are just going to continue to invade here with Oner and Keria in such good positions.
Yeah.
They are not going to be losing any 2v2s.
Nope. That's going to be the steal as well as Yike has to flash away. Pyke just backflips over the wall, though, and I don't think this doggo is going to be able to do anything. Does manage to bounce over the wall and escape. The flash is now down, and T1 claim control of the enemy jungle.
Yeah, and I mean, they're just keeping the pressure on because, like, look at this, right? Look at the CS. That is a giant circle.
That's a really big circle, but I think a larger circle helps. Yeah.
Almost 40 CS in the jungle. Yike has been a guy who in the LEC has really been impressing me and has been able to actually create some pretty massive advantages for KC a number of times. But in this game, it is Oner getting very far ahead, and these are their individual stats in this head-to-head, which I think is going to be a very important one throughout the series.
Well, I hope that it gets more important as well. Good flash away from Caliste, who does manage to land the arrow. I believe Rebuttal was on cooldown, but the paranoia, and Oner comes in and just puts him down. Another bone skewer to come on through, and obviously that one's going to hit. And Keria does go down as the response, and Yike will be able to survive, but they did at least get their target.
Yeah, I mean, Keria dies, but you're giving the Mel another kill, and Seraphine's the one taking the kill from you, so who cares, right?
Yeah.
Peyz is just getting so ridiculously fed. Faker getting active on the map here, moving around, knowing you just want to keep invading, you want to keep the pressure up. Do not allow Yike any space to be able to recover.
Ulti comes through here as Yike does avoid a bit of the damage, but he was never winning that 1v1. Peyz is able to put him down. Oh dear, that looked like a little bit of a sign of desperation as Doran going 1v3 here towards his top side. He wants in on the fun, but I have a feeling he may just be going down, turns his attention to the wave, and will be falling. So there's a little bit more back here for KC as they do what they can to limit this gold advantage.
Yeah, it is something, and I mean, for KC, you've got to stay active on the map, try to find some sort of plays. Overload one side, look for something, because I don't think this is a game you can play slow anymore. T1 are going to be snowballing towards a quick soul. They have a massive advantage. If you can somehow stabilize the game at this deficit and farm and farm and farm, then you are going to have a chance in a fight.
How did that hit? That didn't look very fair. Canna is going to come through and try and defend as Keria still wanting to find an angle as he gets hit by the kitchen sink and taken down.
Okay, Keria, you're having a little too much fun, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the mini-map. No one from his team is anywhere near him. He was
I think he's been listening to all of those people saying he's the best player in the world, and it's got to his head. As now Peyz looking for kyeahoo one more time here towards his bottom side as we finally have a mage matchup. But man, yeah, maybe he was actually reading what Busio was saying. Is there's a paranoia towards the bottom side of the map. Oner is just going to put down kyeahoo. And I do want to say something about this. We did have Oner's stats come up before, like 42-8 was the win rate, but one of those losses was against Hanwha Life Esports. There's a reason why T1 are our second seed, and it's because Hanwha were able to win that best of 5, and Oner's Nocturne was just not that good. But historically, it has been a lot more like this, where he just wins. Doran going to take down Yike here as T1 just celebrate by roaming down the river and claiming even more kills. Faker even had another charge of that perfect execution to take him down. Do you call it a charge? I don't think it's really a charge, but he has a second activation. And Oner is going to grab the double dragon.
I'll give it to you.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Appreciate
it's a charge. You got 2 charges of it.
Yeah, you do. You got one charge, does one thing. Another charge does a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Theoretically, different ability, but that's all right.
Completely different flip.
It's like Silas. He's got like his abduct abscond, 2 charges.
2 charges.
Yeah, one does dash, one does chain, 2 charges.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll count it.
It's another Cloud Soul. T1 obsessed with Cloud Souls, kind of like me. They are very good at getting them. The RNG just works out. But now they can move towards having infinite movement speed. And for a composition like this, Cloud Soul is probably one of the most scary ones.
Yeah, it is definitely pretty terrifying when you have a comp that wants to play a lot through side lanes, wants the 1-through-1. You have Oner and Keria moving around the map all the time, giving that additional move speed. pretty scary. I think there could be worse ones for KC, but they are just trying to hold on here. And you can see all of these KC members are on top side. All 5 of them. There's no one right now answering Faker in the bot lane, so they're going to try to overload and potentially make a play here.
Oh, Peyz might be taken down. The rebuttal now on cooldown. The arrow is going to hit, and Yike going to get over that wall. Peyz will be shut down finally as Keria trying to get rid of Canna, and this is a great play from KC. They just get that shutdown, and they get themselves out.
And they get the flash, which is really, really big. So getting the flash there off of Peyz, you know, he had the flash, he had the rocket belt, he was trying to get out, wasn't able to do it. Clever play here from KC. They realized we can't just play 1-3-1, so they sent all 5 top, and they are looking to try to answer a play to try to make something happen. They are able to get a kill, but of course, in the meantime, Faker has been pushing down on bot side, and they still do have an enormous advantage for Peyz, for Oner, for Doran. This top lane tower very close to going down here as well for Doran, as Keria is just going to continually stay active on the map here, clearing out vision and just playing in the face of KC.
Yep. Serpent's Fang first here for Doran as well. Oftentimes with this Grasp Jayce build, we do see the Black Cleaver, but wanted to go to ripping out that shield as quickly as possible as Oner with the Dustbringer. Seeing what he can do. Busio getting an encore, and it actually manages to clip Faker. Goes into the Shroud, though, to keep himself safe. And now just going to dash in, realizes that he was going to go down, tried to get whatever he could, and that, in fact, is nothing. And the KC composition, I think, is starting to work, starting to come together. And T1 also have opened the tent doors, if you can call them that, and the circus is really in town.
It does feel like KC are they're just going to squat up. They're going to walk around as 4, as 5. And T1 have been looking to, play the map, make individual plays. But it's very dangerous if KC are just always going to be grouped to look for those. And this time, Faker does get caught out. They had just caught Peyz. They get a couple of kills back, but it's not the end of the world because T1 has been pushing everywhere, taking every objective. They got that second dragon uncontested. They're going to take the Herald uncontested. They got the 3 grubs. So everything's still looking pretty under control here, but T1 definitely want to clean it up a little bit and make sure they're cognizant of the fact that KC are overloading one side of the map over and over.
Yep. At this point, like with a 6,000 gold lead at 16 minutes into the game, you're still probably going to be pretty happy. I don't think that Tom and Marta are going to be all that mean about this mid game, because this lead was just absurd from the beginning. Still 4 minutes until Baron, which is just kind of crazy. Soul Point is less than that, though, at 1.5.
Yep, it is not too far away. But these two teams, obviously, they have some familiarity, with some of these players. But T1 has a ridiculous amount of international experience. This is the previous international appearances, compared to that for KC. Busio as well as Yike obviously having the most experience between FlyQuest and G2. And this is the experience gap in games, which is just ridiculous. You look at Faker versus
It's not fair to ever have Faker in these graphics at all.
Almost 10 times as many games as kyeahoo has played.
Yeah, but almost 10 times as many games as any other player on the planet, Isaac.
Yeah, KC combined have less games than Faker.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is kind of crazy.
It is ridiculous.
And that's always the scary thing, is that T1 managed to be so composed in all these games, and a lot of it really does come down to the amount of times that they've been here, the amount of times that they've been in these massive games in these big situations. We had Caliste on the desk yesterday, and he was saying that he was feeling like yesterday they were a little bit nervous. They were kind of getting that out of the way a bit, but that today they would be more calm. But it's like, I just don't feel like you see T1 looking nervous almost ever.
You will never be able to out-calm T1.
No.
They are just, they are very comfortable. They're also in Daejeon, right? Like, this is not very far from home.
Yeah.
And
Gangnam
is actually on, like, the Daejeon side of Seoul as well. So it's even quicker for them to get here than people in other parts of Seoul as well. So, it's not exactly the roughest of travel times, as Doran feeling a little bit more like domestic Doran here today in this game, as he does teleport away, not wanting to get dove.
Yep.
Keria makes his way up and just going to cross map, and they might be able to take an inner turret off the back of that. in trade for probably some bounty gold. As the Rift Herald is thrown down, is this inhibitor turret?
I think it is. That's what I was going to say, is that Caliste, is up here on the top side working in the tower, but KC sent 4 members there to try to make that play. Faker was already at the tower, and they dropped the Herald, so they're going to get the tier 2 easily. They get 3 plates off that as well, and Keria is still just soaking experience on this top side, being annoying. They pushed in mid lane, now they're taking away jungle camps.
They grab the dragon.
No, they can't win any even fights, so they kind of have to do this, but T1 is responding appropriately.
Yeah.
You just full court press, push everywhere. If KC has to commit 4 or 5 to one side to get a kill, even if you get that kill, it's going to be a gold negative play basically every single time.
You just let them and make sure that you have the cross-map plan to take 2 for 1 in every scenario. And that is what's happening. The unstoppable onslaught comes through. The flash over from Canna. They really want to kill Doran, try and get something off the back of this play. Shockwave, fantastic from kyeahoo, using the Sion in order to get that extra range on the hula hoop. Beautifully done. Peyz not quite able to get there in time to save his top laner. But here is that sort of trade back that you have to be aware of. Faker's in that top lane, getting that wave shoved in, and T1 getting to work here in mid as well. Boneskew are going to go wide. That is a great beat drop there onto Keria, but not too much more going to come of it.
Exactly. I mean, you're just looking to the top side jungle. Oner is taking your red buff. Faker is working on your tier 2 tower. And they're engaged.
They're also going to take Busio as well, by the looks of things, as there is the Bone Skewer to connect. Death from below is named very correctly. Keria is going to help lock down that kill. Yike taking some damage from Peyz as well, but also the dagger's doing some work here. Yike looking a little bit aggressive, but T1, they're still looking for more as Keria wanting to take down Busio, gets the stun, and that's going to set up for the reset to come on through.
Oh, no.
Oner also will just kill Yike. And it's all just started to fall apart for KC, if it hadn't fell apart already.
Yeah, I mean, the last wheel has fallen off the car, we'll say that much.
Wait, but now it's just a sled.
Yep.
They need a hill. That might be okay.
And the push. They're back in business.
All right, Canna, it's up to you. You're the big lumberjack that can run pretty fast. We're going to need this Sion to make some stuff happen, but I don't know. I think it's a 9.5k gold advantage. There's a stun on Doran. The unstoppable onslaught is going to come through as well. Q going to get charged as Caliste trying to do damage to Doran, and it's just not going to work. Doran, though, going to show him how it's done as before he goes down. And it's a 1-for-1 trade in the end. Any 1-for-1, probably better for KC, though, to be honest. But although not Doran, really.
Just does not feel like he's really getting any damage there. Even with Canna locking up Doran, just didn't have the damage to actually knock down Doran quickly at all, and then he turns, he gets a kill in that situation where it looked like he was completely dead to rights. Oner is farming every camp of Yikes. He did the red buff, then went down to the blue buff, killed Yike on it, took his blue buff.
It's a
now
Flame
he's back
Horizon.
on the top side.
It's a Flame Horizon in 10 CS in the jungle.
Crazy
at 21 minutes.
I mean, look at Caliste farm as well, right?
Yeah.
Oner is 60 CS up on the enemy AD carry.
All right, well, Yike is going to get paranoid, and I do not blame him. Will be taken out here as Canna. Yeah, not going to be able to help that situation at all. And maybe the Flame Horizon just happens now. He needs 12, like 3 camps. Just got to take 3 camps. All right, there's a beautiful rebuttal as Busio just going to get executed by Peyz. Dash cannon to try and get himself a little bit further away. Good sidestep from Caliste as a flash comes through from Peyz, and he is just going to walk his way out of that. That kind of felt like a 1v3 play, but he is just kind of that fed.
Yeah, he is that fed and he is that good. Makes the play happen, knows his damage threshold there, is able to kill off Busio with that final Q. Well, meanwhile, Faker doing what Faker is doing, pushing the side lane all game long. Faker has not really had to be involved in anything, and he hasn't really been involved in anything. But he's just keeping active on the map, forcing them to actually respond to these waves. And the rest of T1 are just roaming around, sealing every jungle camp, winning every skirmish, and taking every objective. And KC have kind of got to decide when they want to actually leave the base and fight. I feel like at this point you probably don't even bother for Soul. Maybe you just try to turtle up for Elder, but maybe they'll come out if they start Baron or something. It just feels like if you leave your base now, I can't imagine a world in which you are not just dying on the way to the Soul.
Yeah.
So it's every play you make is probably like a 1% play, right? So you kind of have to
I think you just have to send it. I think you just have to send it. As it's only going to get worse. We explained this already, right? Any time they go for like a trade or a cross map or an overload, you're going to lose more than you gain. And so maybe just trying to catch them off guard and go for the Hail Mary might be the best way to get it done. But honestly, there aren't a lot of good choices in this situation when you're 10,000 gold behind and Baron has only just spawned. Speaking of Spawn, this is kind of shellacking territory as well. He's the one that coined how a shellacking is supposed to work. A very quick victory under 25 minutes. This might be heading in that direction, but we'll see. There is the Paranoia to come down very defensively, though, as he actually uses it to reposition. Oner gets in there. It'll be a big shutdown, and that is going to go over to kyeahoo. Keria getting amongst it, though, as we can see. 1 versus 3 now, as the ulti from Peyz comes on down, and that is going to lock up a kill, but Peyz getting a little bit lower. Faker finally making his presence known as he tries to get over the wall, and does use the ulti to do so, but Canna blast cones himself, and will try to get this teleport out. Faker knows that he is going to be able to escape, and Doran just going to grab the soul here. But that fight, a lot closer than I think T1 were expecting.
Yeah, it absolutely was. You know, they are able to get a couple kills. They take out Oner, KC, not allowing T1 to actually set up. They just pull the trigger immediately as soon as they see anyone they can go on. They full send it on Oner. He, of course, was able to turn it around, get that kill onto Caliste with the rest of his team, but a couple of kills go the way of KC. The problem is, even if you take down Oner and Keria, Peyz, Faker, Doran, all very strong at this point of the game, and they're going to grab Soul for themselves here as well, as they just continue pushing in these waves. And Oner has secured the Flame Horizon, 222 CS to 116. Not something you see every day. 3 full levels up, 15 to 12.
All right, this might be the fastest Flame Horizon I have ever seen in my life. And also, it's probably the first one in the jungle that I have seen outside of the funnel meta, which was just that's not included.
Dark times.
It was definitely dark times. As the arrow is going to connect onto Faker, there is the unstoppable onslaught and the shockwave. That's a lot of R buttons, but I think it's required in order to make sure that they lock down this Akali and get the kill as quickly as possible. Now they've got 40 seconds before this Baron is going to be taken down. Due to the Mastercard priceless moment of the game, that soul does get picked up from T1, and they should be able to use that to book it towards this Baron. Hang on. They're surely not able to just take this for free with Faker dead.
And look at the vision. There's no vision at all. And Busio is going to try to move forward and get some vision back, but it is so scary to actually walk in here. And Caliste, I think they may be aware of it now, but it just feels like it's way too late. It doesn't matter. Yike
will never get here in time, and so that is going to be the Baron secured. Faker, 5 seconds to go, but they're still just going to send it into that backline. The Encore is decent, but that damage onto Caliste is massive. Oner will be taken out, though, as Keria will also be secured. Yike doing a whole bunch of work here as, oh my, never mind. Faker's going to show up. Canna looking to be taken down here as Busio trying to help out with a bit of drop in the beat, but it's not going to quite work. kyeahoo here as well. Doesn't have his ultimate for the next little while, but a couple of seconds and that'll be back up again. And T1, that was a little bit of a bridge too far. Yeah, they decided to go for that fight, having a bit of fun, I think, in this one, and a few different moments. Oh, there's the rebuttal. And Caliste not going to get killed by the ulti, but he still has to go home. Yeah, that was pretty terrifying. The amount of damage coming out from Peyz here has the Magi's on 12 stacks. Faker nearly has his death cap as well. And he is going to be a pretty huge threat here, too. You can definitely see, if KC were even remotely close in gold, that the 5v5s are very winnable, right? Yeah. You know, there are so many squishy members. They have some good AoE CC on the KC side, but they just fell so far behind that it has been incredibly difficult. And, I mean, just look at the initial damage that comes down onto Caliste as they go in. This is not like a shockwave. That is just him. That's Umbral Blades. That is just Oner. Yeah. And on the other side, nicely played by Yike, is able to finish off Oner and then get that reset, take down Keria, who was quite low. From here, T1 not able to kill off the Sion, who's very, very tanky, but not able to stop that Baron either. And fun fact, once again, talking about this Nocturne, this is the second largest CS deficit at 25 minutes in international history, as Oner is going to secure a rampage for Peyz. 10, 2, and 7 now on the Mel, also having a very good performance, as KC just doing their very best to try and defend. And honestly, their very best is just not going to be enough, not at this stage. So we have a look at the Coinbase gold grind. Oner is just, making good money. Leave some gold for the other people. Or maybe just kill the Nexus, and then you don't need to really worry about it. Oner just proved that, that you are the carry, and he absolutely is. And man, what redemption for his Nocturne as well. After that series against LoL Esports, just showing that, yes, this is a devastating pick for me. Do not disrespect it. I don't think anyone will for the next little while. Definitely do not think you can disrespect him on really any tip. Yeah, that's a good point. Especially
after a game like this. Casey yesterday had the second largest gold lead period at an international ever, and then this is against them, the second largest CSD at 25 in jungle specifically.
Yeah, in the jungle
in international history. So 2 gold records set in different directions with KC over these last 2 days, and definitely liking the direction yesterday a lot more.
Yeah, I would say so.
We're absolutely dominating, but we'll have to see, you know, how they can kind of bounce back from a game like this, because, you know, I do think, you know, Yike has been incredible throughout this season, but having a game like this against T1, it's hard, right? It's frustrating when they're in your face, and we'll have to see if he's going to be able to bounce back, because that is something that in the past he had received criticism for, his ability to, you know, stay calm in these moments internationally, to be able to bounce back after a tough game, and there's no one harder to do that against than T1.
Yeah, I think one thing that does help is that you basically lost the game at 6 minutes. So they've had a lot of time to be like, no, it doesn't, like, what happens from here doesn't really matter. Yeah. Let's just try and throw the kitchen sink at them and see what happens. And I think stylistically, this composition from T1 should either do this or lose, right? Like, it's a very one or the other style of composition. So maybe there's a little bit of that. That's the copium that I would go with.
That's how you have to look at it. You can't read into the game too much. You just have to say, you know what, we're confident in our preparation. This game went bad, and it went bad early. Move forward, believe in your practice, believe in your ability to take them down. They felt pretty confident coming in, so, you know, just go next and see what happens.
And guess what? They won't be able to play these champions again. You will not need to worry about Oner turning the lights off, because he won't have the ability to do so in the next game.
The lights will remain on.
They will remain on, and there's nothing that they can really do about it. They could even maybe make more lights with a Twisted Fate pickup, something like that. It's absolutely fine. But KC right now on the ropes. And we do have an Elder Dragon spawning in 20 seconds' time. Let's see whether they can get over to that one, as it won't be Exodia quite, as I don't know whether they'll have time to get a Baron before they just push and win the game.
Maybe
with 3 inhibitors down.
So Oner can get the double Flame Horizon.
Ah, you know? That's the strategy. They heard that it's only the second largest CS deficit. All right, Yike in a lot of trouble here. Peyz looks for the ulti. That was an ambitious one. There's a paranoia. Never mind, not ambitious at all. Now they're going to look to just try and kill them all. Bone Skewer connects. That is 3 on the floor. Oh. Shockwave is incredible as Keria goes down, but he's the only one to fall as the immediate revenge for T1 does come down. The former T1 player is left till last here as Canna will try and charge some Qs underneath these Nexus turrets, but this battle against Pyke, I don't think is one that he is going to win. Nexus turrets fall, no Elders required here for T1, as they will obliterate KC in the first game.